Follow us on social media, Twitter and Instagram. Subscribe on YouTube. Don't forget to like. Americana, starring Sydney Sweeney, which, to be honest, the only reason I watch this movie is because of Sydney Sweeney. I'm not normally a fan of her films, but I just wanted to support her and her genes. Anyways, there's a lot of characters in this film. There's an interesting conflict that they're all centered around. It's kind of like Smoking Aces, where everyone's after the same thing, but it's not as interesting as Smoking Aces. I don't think it's supposed to be like a ripoff of Smoking Aces either, but I'm just saying, as far as like the goal, it seemed like that is what it was trying to emulate. But anyways, so yeah, there's an interesting conflict, but it's too long. It's got some pacing issues, and the movie could have ended a few times toward the end. But with the vast amount of characters in this film, Sydney Sweeney and Paul Walter Hauser definitely have the most interesting character arc as a duo. But let's go over some of the other characters first, and then we'll get to the more interesting ones, which are only really Sydney Sweeney and Paul Walter Hauser. So first we meet this kid who's like got some kind of psychosis going on. He thinks he's a descendant or a reincarnation of a specific Native American from a bunch of old Western films he watched. So he's kind of suffering from like Elizabeth Warren syndrome. Well, I mean, Elizabeth Warren is a different situation because she's just pretending this kid actually has like a psychotic situation going on where he thinks he is an incarnation of a fictional character. Anyways, accompanying the kid and his party of characters is his mom, who is this, I guess, like a white trash whore. I'm not really sure what her archetype was supposed to be exactly, but that seemed like that's what they were going for. And she's dating this thief who kind of sets off the plot in motion for this artifact called the Ghost Shirt. And that's what everyone's going after in the film. So like I said earlier about Smoking Aces, the Ghost Shirt is the Buddy Aces Israel of the Americana film. Everyone is after the shirt the way all of the hitmen are after Buddy Aces Israel. And it leads to this kind of grand conflict where everyone kind of meets up at one place in the end and they all fight over the item. But the conflict itself is just not really built up in an interesting way to lead to an interesting climax. Anyways, so we meet the mom. She's got the thief of a boyfriend who sets off the shirt heist, and eventually the mom goes to her country family in Wyoming for protection, and the country family is depicted the way all Hollywood films depict a country family. They're supposed to be like a cult, I guess, a Christian cult, because that's really the only way that Hollywood is able to portray a country family that is Christian. It is always like Christianity must be a cult. You know, you never see them do that with like Islam. Anyways, so that's like that whole group of people in this film. Then we get these Native Americans who are also Marxists. This film is so, like I said, there's interesting things about the film, but these weird, I don't even want to say Hollywood. I just want to say Los Angeles. You know, whoever was writing the ideological beliefs of the characters in this film, they were from LA. So they were thinking, okay, family in the country, they have to be Christian and cult-like. Native Americans, they're going to be Marxists because we have to make them like the Black Panthers. Anyways, and then we have the buyer, who is the original catalyst for all this conflict to happen in the first place, because he wants this ghost shirt because he sells them artifacts on the black market or something like that. I forget his exact story, but wasn't really interesting anyways. But yeah, so those are all the parties of people. We got the white trash family, the Marxist Native Americans, and the artifact buyers. And caught up in the mix is Sydney Sweeney, who is a waitress, and Paul Walter Hauser, who is just this guy who kind of lives in this small town. And he is the most interesting character in the film to me personally. I think because he's in this small town. He just wants to live a small town life. He wants to get married and kind of live happily ever after on his property and just live a simple and traditional life. And Sydney Sweeney, who is a waitress at a diner that he eats at pretty often, she starts off kind of just as seeing him as a regular. When she gets an idea that this heist is going to happen, she basically talks him into helping her get in on the heist so they can split the money and kind of live their happily ever afters. First, it's kind of separate. She has a different motive and she just wants his help so that he can also achieve his goal. So their goals are temporarily aligned, but ultimately in the end, she was like, I'm going to go my way, you're going to go your way. Well, not even really. It kind of starts off like that, but it develops into them having this relationship where she wants him to come along for the ride and she wants him to escape with her to Nashville, I think. But either way, the way he talks about his desire for having this happily ever after and making a wife happy and him being a happy husband, it grows on her, and it's something that she desires by the end of the film too. So it was really satisfying to see their character arc play out. However, in the end, without spoiling it, it's too late. It's heartbreaking that it's too late by the end of the film for them them to have this happily ever after together. So yeah, Americana is a film I don't ever think I'm going to watch again. It's a one and done for me. And I think it's just because of all the other characters who are just like this cringe LA writer's dream of how it is in the country, I guess. It's hard to describe, but that's the only way I can think of describing it right now at the moment. Anyways, if you saw it, what would you do in that situation? Which party of people would you belong to? I mean, honestly, for me, I would like to be the well, I wouldn't like to be, but the Paul Walter Hauser character is who I found the most relatable. I just hope, should I ever come across a stolen artifact that's worth a lot of money, I can actually run off with the city Sweeney of the story. Anyways, what do you guys think? Support the channel. Buy the Stars and Stripes Freedom Deck, America's playing cards, available exclusively in the USA. Available from La Casa Loca on eBay and Etsy. Follow us on Twitter at Ghettoplex_MP4, on Instagram at Ghettoplex.mp4, and subscribe to us on YouTube at Ghettoplex.